Hey there, friends. I know that when you finally see this, it won't be today, but the day that I'm recording this was the first day I got to see many of your faces at the school to pick up your school supplies. I have to tell you that my heart is beyond filled. It's so interesting when you don't see people for a very long period of time and then all of a sudden you see them again. It's like joy. It's bubbling. So anyways, I said I would come to you again with another of my friends. Well, I call her my friend, but she's not really my friend. But she did respond to me one time when I wrote to her on Facebook. So that means she's kind of my friend, right? Anyways, this is called Chicken Sunday, and it is by Patricia Polacco. And if you pay close enough attention, you might see that my friend Patricia, my friend, is in the story. And this is her when she was a little girl. So listen closely to her story. Hopefully we find out a little piece of why this is her story. Or how it involves her. Stuart and Winston were my neighbors. They were my brothers by a solemn ceremony we had performed in their backyard one summer. They weren't the same religion as I. They were Baptist. Their grandma, Eula May Walker, was my grandma now. My babushka had died 2 summers before, and babushka is the name for her Jewish grandmother. Sometimes my mother let me go to church on Sunday with them. Oh, how we loved to hear Miss Eula sing. She had a voice like slow thunder and sweet rain. We'd walk to church and back. She would take my hand as we crossed College Avenue. Even though we'd been churching up like decent folks ought to, she'd say, "I don't want you to step in front of one of those too fast cars. You'll be as flat as a hen's tongue," and she would squeeze my hand. When we passed Mr. Kudinsky's hat shop, Miss Eula would always stop and look in the window at the wonderful hats. She would give a big sigh, and then we would walk on. We called those Sundays Chicken Sundays because Miss Eula almost always fried chicken for dinner. There'd be collard greens with bacon, a big pot of Hoppin' John, corn on the cob, and fried spoon bread. One Sunday at the table, we watched her paper pan flutter back and forth, pulling moist chicken fried air along with it. She took a deep breath. Her skin glowed as she smiled, and then she told us something we already knew. That Easter bonnet in Mr. Kudinsky's window is the most beautiful I ever did see, she said thoughtfully. The 3 of us exchanged the look. We wanted to get her that hat more than anything in the world. Stuart reached into the hole in the trunk of our wish tree in the backyard, and he pulled out a rusty Band-Aid tin. The 3 of us held our breath as we counted the money inside that we had been saving for weeks. If we're going to get that hat for Miss Eula in time for Easter, we're going to need a lot more of this, I announced. Maybe we should ask Mr. Kudinsky if we could sweep up his shop or something to earn the rest of the money, Stuart said. I don't know, Winnie said fearfully. He's such a strange old man. He never smiles at anyone, and he always looks so mean. We all agreed it was not worth a try, or maybe it was worth a try anyway. The next day, we took a shortcut down the alley in back of the hat shop. Bigger boys were there, and they were yelling. Eggs flew past us and pelted Mr. Kudinsky's back door. Just as the boys ran away, the door flew open. Mr. Kudinsky glared at us. "You there! Why do you kids do things like this?" But it wasn't us, Stuart tried to say, but Mr. Kudinsky wouldn't listen. "All I want to do is live my life in peace. I'm calling your grandmother, he shouted as he wagged his finger at Stuart's face. Miss Eula was sitting in her living room for us, waiting for us. Miss Eula, we didn't throw those eggs, I sobbed. Some big boys did, Stuart sputtered. What were you doing at the back of his shop in the first place? She asked. We knew that we couldn't tell her the truth, so we just stood there and cried. She looked at us for a long while. Baby dears, I want to believe you. Heaven knows that I brought you children up always to tell the truth. If you say you didn't do it, then I believe you. It is too bad, though, she went on to say. That poor man has suffered so much in his life. He deserves more than eggs thrown at him. You know, he thinks you threw the eggs. You'll have to show him that you are good people. You are going to have to change his mind somehow. In my kitchen the next day, we thought and we thought. How can we win him over when he thinks we threw those eggs? Stuart asked. He doesn't even like us, Winston chirped. Eggs, I said quietly. Eggs? Stuart asked. Eggs! I screamed. I went to the kitchen drawer and I took out a lump of beeswax, a candle, a small funnel with a wooden handle, and some packets of yellow, red, and black dye. Mom helped me to show the boys how to decorate eggs the way my booby had taught us, the way they do it in the old country. We made designs on the eggshells with hot wax, and then we dyed them and finally melted the wax patterns off. Then we put the eggs in a basket, and even though we were afraid, we marched into Mr. Kadinsky's shop and put them on the counter. Hold on. Sorry, I had to make sure I didn't skip a page. He raised his eyebrows and glowered. Do you like how Patricia Polacco uses that word a lot, glowered? You might have to start using it in your vocabulary. Then his eyes dropped to the basket. Spasiba, he said softly. That means thank you in Russian. Pasanki eggs. Sorry if I butchered that word, he said as he looked closely. I haven't seen these since I left my homeland. We didn't throw those eggs at your door, Mr. Kadinsky, we told him. He looked at us for a minute. Well, then you've got great courage to be here. Chutzpah, you have chutzpah. Then his eyes glistened and his mouth curved into a warm smile. Come, have some tea with me. We spent the entire afternoon talking together, having poppy seed cake and some strong tea. He told us about his life, and we told him all about ours. When we finally got the courage to ask about doing odd jobs to earn some extra money, he apologized and told us that there was no work. We didn't tell him what he wanted the money for. It didn't seem like the right thing to do, and our hearts just sank. I'll tell you this, he said thoughtfully. These eggs are as beautiful as my hats. Stuart, Winnie, and I looked at each other. It's almost Easter, he went on to say. I'm sure that people would love these eggs. Set up a table and sell them right here in my shop. For the next few days, we worked so hard. We made almost a dozen Pasanki eggs. When people came in, they picked them up and said, "Ooh, beautiful, splendid, intricate, glorious." We sold them all in one single day. The sign down here says for sale, Ukrainian eggs. That afternoon, when all the eggs were gone, we counted our money, and we had more than enough for the hat. And just as we were about to tell Mr. Kadinsky that we wanted to buy the hat, he came out of the back room holding a beautiful hat box, gift wrapped. "Keep your money, children," he said softly. "I have seen Miss Eula admire this. It is for her, isn't it? Tell her that I know you are very good children, such good children." When Easter Sunday arrived, we thought our hearts would burst when we watched Miss Eula open the hat box. She held us close with big tears rolling down her cheeks. Our hearts sang along with the choir that Sunday, and she looked so beautiful in that hat. When it was time for her solo, we knew that she was singing just for us. Her voice was like slow thunder and sweet rain. Later that day, as Miss Eula sat at the head of the table, she says, "Oh, baby dears, I can die happy now. And after I'm dead on Chicken Sundays, I want you to boil up some chicken bones, gravy and all, and pour it on my grave. So late at night when I'm hungry, I can reach right out of my grave and have me some." And then she rolled her head back and laughed from a deep, holy place on the inside. Winston Stewart and I, well, we're all grown up now. And our old neighborhood has changed some, and yet it's still familiar too. The freeway rumbles over the spot where Mr. Kadinsky's shop once stood. I think of him often and his glorious hats. We lost Miss Eula some time back, but every year we take some chicken soup up to Mountain View Cemetery and do just as she asked. Sometimes, when we are especially quiet inside, we can hear singing, a voice that sounds like slow thunder and sweet rain. I hope that you enjoyed Chicken Sunday.